Texas coaches, Coach Brackle here from First Down Playbook. After 25 years as a Texas high school football coach, I understand the time, energy, and commitment it takes to compete at your level. First Down Playbook was created by coaches for coaches to help you vertically line your total program. 1 week free team membership for all Texas high school and college coaches. Let First Down Playbook help give you that winning edge.
Now, to head down to the semifinals. We'll start 7 p.m. We're going to go from 2A Division II and work our way all the way up to the big dogs. We start 7:30 p.m. on, 7 o'clock p.m. Thursday in Childress. Groover and Munster are playing. And then in the other one, you've got Bremond and Shiner playing Thursday at 7 at Cypress Sci-Fair FCU Stadium. Mallory, who are your picks that you think are going to advance in this one?
Okay, starting off on, let's see, the left side of the bracket. Mm-hmm. Okay, we'll start with Munster versus Groover. Okay, so way back when we picked our initial picks before the playoffs started, I picked Groover to win Region 1, and I picked Munster to win Region 2.
Correct.
And then I picked Groover to win it all. I have now realized
that Case and Carney exists.
Freight train that Munster is, because we got to see them absolutely obliterate a very good Collinsville team in person in Denison last Friday.
It was 40-7 at halftime.
Yeah.
I mean, Collinsville scored on the opening drive, and then it was church.
It was just over.
The defense scored. The offense was going nuts with Case and Carney. He can throw it. He can run it. He's
a true dual threat quarterback, and I would also give him the size advantage up front.
Yeah.
I mean, we walked in and immediately my eyes went to Munster's offensive line, and I saw tight end Garrett Hess there. And I was like, I got to look up his size. 6'4", like 270 pounds.
He's
I'm like,
huge.
This dude is playing 2A Division II football. And of course, he was kind of, he was very versatile on the line. He kind of just matches up against the biggest defensive lineman that the other team has, so very fluid in his position on the offensive line. But I was very, very impressed with how tough and physical they were up front, which obviously gives Case and Carney room to run and room to just do his thing, right?
And that's going to be the killer in this one. I think that Groover specifically, I think this is a fun game. I don't think that Groover will go down near as easily as Munster was able to handle Collinsville.
No.
But I agree when I think it's too much in the lines, and then I think that if you allow Case and Carney to get into any open space, he is going to make Groover pay.
He's going to make Groover pay too. And Groover, I should mention, they're only lone undefeated team in 2A Division 2, so that's got to have something to say.
Yeah.
You know, but
I just don't think they played as tough of a competition.
Their schedule has not been as tough as Munster's, and if you look at Munster, they've played up a lot. I mean, they played really tough against a great Pottsboro team. They ended up losing that game, but it was a 2-score game, and they went toe-to-toe with them for the most part.
That was the game that I said, okay, I think Munster is going to be good this year, but that would be the game that really decided it for me, and no one likes like the moral losses, you know,
right.
But man, I asked Coach Carney before that game what the average size of their offensive line was, and the average size was like right around like the 200 mark, which again for 2A Division II is a large. Pottsboro's offensive line averaged like 380 or something like that. It was like almost 300 pounds. Like it was ridiculous. Okay. And he was like, it's like, well, good luck, coach. He's like, yeah, we're going to need it. And I was like, just don't get injured. That's what you're going in.
And they played well.
And they darn near had him.
They darn near had him. They played really well. And I just, last note I had on Munster, the last 2 weeks have just been outstanding. I mean, of course, Collinsville, they took down pretty handedly. And then the week before against Albany, they're just on a hot streak right now. And I just don't think that Groover has seen a team like Munster yet this year, and I think that's where they get them.
Yeah, I think the physicality is going to weigh out. Speaking of physicality, you look on the other side of the bracket into a Division 2. Coming out of Region 3, Bremond, the Tigers, and then coming out of Region 4, a team that we didn't talk about a couple of years, but now they're back. And so for both of these, I picked Munster to play Shiner in the state championship.
I did too. Same there.
That's for Shiner in particular. They are a 3-loss team. Do not let that fool you.
And I honestly, I think that fooled me at the beginning of the year too. You look at their schedule and they start off the year 0-3 and you're like, dude, what's happening with Shiner? Are we kind of repeating what we've seen the last couple years? You know,
Hallettsville, a 3A Division 1 team, Rice Consolidated, which I believe is a 4A Division 2 team. Then you have Poth, which is a
Rice Consolidated 382.
382. Okay.
Also 382.
Poth is playing this week in the 3A D2 final.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, they're not.
They're not. Did they lose last week?
They lost. I want to say.
Who did they lose to?
Because they lost to Lexington in the
that's
regional.
Right. That's right.
Semis.
Okay, that makes sense. Regardless.
Yes.
Shiner is doing old school Shiner things. They're running the ball like crazy. The last time that we saw that was with Dalton Brooks. They're looking they're looking like that. But their defense is incredible. I think it's going to be able to hold back a very good Bremond team. Bremond has a junior running back, Terrence Scott, who's rushing for about 131 yards a game. Their quarterback has been really good. I just think this defense is playing at a different level, and I think that Shiner has been to this stage before. Daniel Boddicker, I just don't like betting against him in the playoffs. He's a coach that knows how to get his guys ready to go at this time of year.
Yes, this is a team that has that big time experience and they know how to play. Bremond is very young. They've got a freshman starting at quarterback. If it's not going to be this year, they will absolutely be back next year. And I just think it's a very solid offense, I think, that Bremond has. But like you said, I think this defense is going to be way too much from them. They're outscoring opponents 522 to 153. Shiner is.
It's crazy.
Absolutely solid on both sides of the ball. I pick Shiner over Bremond pretty easily.
Yeah. All right, moving on to 2A Division 1. You've got Stamford taking on Hamilton, 7 p.m. Thursday at Mineral Wells. And then you have Joaquin and Ganado, 7 p.m. at Shenandoah's Wood Forest Bank Stadium. I took Stamford out of the left side and Ganado out of the right side.
Same.
It feels right. So
it does feel right.
WTF, we have been known about Stanford. Okay, that was our state championship pick, both of us, from the moment, and I felt like I didn't need anybody to tell me otherwise. I think this team, specifically with Caston Vega, has been incredible. They play bully ball against teams.
They're outscoring opponents 679 to 142. If that doesn't tell you how sound both units are for this team, I don't know what will.
Their ability to play so fast yet still so physical is just shocking.
Yes.
You look at their opponent, Hamilton.
Team of Destiny.
Welcome, I guess, to this late in the playoffs.
To the state semis.
Let me read you their past 6 seasons. In 2018, 5-6. In 2019, 6-5. In 2020, 3-6. In 2021, 6-4. 2022, 7-6. Okay. In 2023, 6-5. This is a team that is used to getting booted in at max the by-district round
area. Yeah, right.
Most of the time, they haven't even made the playoffs in the past 7 years, and that just keeps going on. Okay, Hamilton is not supposed to be here.
No, absolutely not.
And yet they keep winning.
Yep. And here's the thing I'll say about the left side of the bracket here. I think your 2 favorites up in that Region 1 were Sunray in Stamford. When I saw that Sunray lost in the area round to Post, I believe it was Post out of Region 1, that's when I kind of knew that Stanford wasn't it to win it, right? They had a clear path to the playoffs, and the fact that I'm not counting Hamilton out. I'm just saying that I think Stanford is playing way too well right now. They've got a chip on their shoulder. They're hungry for
shout out to Hamilton too. They went for 2. They put it all on the line against Axtell and ended up beating them 15-14.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Like, this team has guts. Stanford cannot walk in here thinking that they're going to just absolutely annihilate them.
Yeah.
But I think if you had to talk about any of the games this week that I could firmly say, like, I would be shocked if someone
This would be
won
a
it.
massive upset.
Happy to be wrong.
Yes, correct.
But I've had a good feeling about Stanford from the very get-go.
Yeah, I think we were the only two that picked Stanford out of
I
Region
believe
1.
so,
Because
yeah.
everybody else picked Sunray and
Yeah.
Armando Luan.
Well, we picked them to win the
which
whole-
I get. Totally fair. But
We picked them to, I think Step
We
picked them
picked
too, but we picked them to
Oh.
win state.
to win state. We did. So look at us.
Yes. And
And
then who
then-
do you have for, again, another team? A fourth place team.
In Joaquin. So, of course, we both
Crazy.
picked Ganado. Joaquin is not supposed to be here. The computer picked them to lose the last 6 of their games, and they're still here. Another team of Destiny out of 2A D1. I was really impressed. Now, I didn't go to this game. I was keeping up with it through Steps tweets. He was at the Honey Grove and Joaquin game. When I picked Honey Grove out of Region 3 because of Rylan Morris, obviously. Now, they didn't bottle up Rylan Morris until the second half. Rylan Morris went off with like 2 or 3 touchdowns in the first half, which is completely expected. He's the do-it-all athlete for Honey Grove. He'll definitely be back, stuff like that. Joaquin shut them down the second half.
Yep.
Did they score
No.
in the second half
I
at
think
all?
I think it was like 23 unanswered points. Or
Yeah,
something
I think
like
so.
that.
I think it was,
But
something like that.
they
But
shut them out in the second half.
I was absolutely blown away by how well this defense was able to shut down an explosive team like Honey Grove. It was very, very impressive.
Yes, it absolutely was. So looking at Ganado, this is a team that made us eat our words last year. You know, we weren't, I think that everybody just had Refugio penciled in.
I also picked Refugio out of Region 4 this year. I think you...
I can't remember
you
who
picked
I
Mason.
took. Mason. Yeah, I took my
I picked
punchers.
Refugio.
They let me down. But Ganado didn't sneak up on anybody this year. Josh Irvin's squad has looked just as good as they did last year. They're another, year seasoned there. Logan Beers has been incredible from the rushing attack. Quarterback Ullman, he's looking like he's really peaking right now. Talk about a team that's outscoring opponents 652 to 141.
Yeah, okay.
They're
Yeah, right.
averaging 46 points per game and only allowing, through 14 games, 10 points allowed. And you take out just one of those games and it goes down to like 7 points allowed. Ganado feels like they have been the team to beat. Now, you never count out Refugio, but the moment they got done with Refugio, then it was like, okay, this feels like their time to now get over the hump and try and make it to state.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing, too, about just Joaquin in general. Last week, they were able to shut down Rylan Morris and make them very one-dimensional, right? Ganado is not like Honey Grove. Ganado has playmakers all over the field. I think they're just going to be a little bit too much for this younger Joaquin squad that doesn't have nearly as much experience playing in big-time games like this.
But I'll say, man, don't count Joaquin out next year.
No.
But I
They'll
think
be back. They'll be back.
If we got a Stanford-Ganado match like we're projecting in the state championship game, let me go ahead and put you on that because that game is going to rock. That's going to kick off the Friday game, or the Thursday games rather, and that is going to slap.
Yeah.
I mean, that is bully ball football at that point. And you want to talk about the clash in styles too. I mean, even at Stanford, how fast and physical they are.
Yeah,
and
that Region 1 and then that Region 4 clash,
like that's typical. Typical Region 1 versus Region 4.
Absolutely.
And I'm here for it.
Yeah,
so
me too.
that would be a matchup that I would keep my eyes on. And oh my God, if Hamilton or Joaquin make it, you want to talk about the Cinderella story. Like at that point, you might as well pick the underdog because they've proved us wrong for 6 straight weeks.
Right. Whoever wins either of these games, it's going to be a fun matchup regardless of what the storyline is. There's a storyline there, but regardless of who wins, it's going to be fun.
Yep. Moving on now to 3A Division 2. You have, for the first time in like 8 bajillion years, and yes, that's accurate math, we do not have a Gunner-Canadian matchup.
Insane.
We have a Wall Hawks matchup
Hawks
going on against Gunner Friday at Abilene's Wildcat Stadium, 4 p.m. A little playoff matinee, if you will. Then in the right side of the bracket, Woodville, sure, taking on Tidehaven, who we saw play in the state championship last year. That one going on 7 p.m. Thursday at New Katie's Randall Reed Stadium. I think we agreed on this one as well. I went with Gunner and Tidehaven.
Yes, I did too.
Yep, that's it. That's the only analysis that we can give.
All right,
you there.
4A division. No.
I think this one is a where do you stand with playoff pedigree and the importance of knowing how to play on a big stage.
Time games, correct.
We talked to Wall head coach Craig Slaughter last week prior to their matchup with Canadian, and he was hyped. Okay, he was like, I have been telling our guys if we get a chance to play a team that has that historic playoff pedigree and just square up against them and see what happens. Well, they went out and absolutely steamrolled Canadian. Okay?
49-3.
I mean,
49-3.
They took their butts and punted them into the sun.
It was
That
just unreal.
was shocking.
That score.
I think if you've been paying attention to Texas high school football this year, because some people come in for the playoffs and you're going to see, okay, pencil in Canadian and Gunner, pencil, and if you were watching, you were like, I don't know. So I don't think it was necessarily shocking if you've been paying attention that Wall won, but the fashion in which they did
win.
Goodness.
Yeah, I think most of us picked Wall out of Region 1.
We all did, I think.
Yeah, I think we all picked. We kind of knew better. We had been watching Wall all season. We were like, dude, this is a different kind of Hawks team than what we've seen in the past. And we also knew Canadian was a little down. They hadn't seemed up to that Canadian standard that they are typically used to. But man, this Wall team is fast.
Yeah,
led by Briggs Jones and Thomas Leonos. Like, this is a fast team that is going to. They are going to score on you. They're going to put up some points. Then you see the other side.
Water's still wet. Gunner's still good at football. I said it on the last, I'm not going to go too far in on Gunner because I said it on the last show. When we gave out our WTF awards, I said my biggest lock to win state again would probably be Gunner. They're so dangerous.
Yes.
And we wondered if they might take a little bit of a step back, specifically on the offensive side, because you lose some really big time players in at the wide receiver position, but they haven't even needed it because
Cannon Lindbergh.
Correct. Our redheaded king.
King.
They haven't even really needed to rely. This sounds crazy. They haven't even really needed to rely on their offense that much because their defense
is so good.
It's outstanding.
The tackling, the way they fly around the ball. Colin Peacock, their leader of the defense. Baylor commit.
He's got to stay healthy. I think he keeps kind of going in and out of fluxes of injuries and stuff. But if Colin Peacock is in the game, it's darn near impossible to pick against Gunner.
There's no doubt that both of these offenses are going to put up some points. It's going to come down who can make those key stops in the defense. That's what's going to determine this game. I think this is more of a coin flip game than people actually realize, but I can't pick against Gunner. No, I can't do it. You can't do it. They're on a three-peat. They're looking for their three-peat. I never remember 4-peat, 5-peat, whatever. They've been there a lot of times. 3-peat. Yeah, they've played in big time situations. Wall hasn't. So I can't pick against Gunner.
Shout out to what Craig Slaughter's doing over there, though, man.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going away.
No.
This is a fun team to keep your eye on.
Yeah, Landon York's only a junior.
Yeah.
So Wall will be back next year.
Correct.
On the right side of the bracket, you have, out of 12 3A Division II, Woodville in a surprising state semifinal appearance.
They've never made it to the third round of the playoffs. Never made it to the fourth round of the playoffs. Hello, they're in the fifth round of the playoffs now.
Yep. So Tidehaven, we had questions about coming into the year because obviously we saw the incredible run that they made to get to the state championships. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. I've been blessed. We saw them make a run to the state championships last year. They only returned 6 starters on both sides of the ball, and they lost some pretty key players.
Yeah.
So we're going, okay, and somehow David Lucio, that guy, first off, he rocks. If you've ever had the opportunity to have a conversation with David Lucio, he just rocks. I thought not only was the win over East Bernard impressive, the win over Lexington was very impressive.
Very, very
35 to 21. That is a Lexington team that even last year we were saying, hey, we think they're a year early. Hold on into next year. Well, next year happened.
Yeah.
And Tidehaven just found a way to do it.
I'm not going to lie. I completely forgot about Tidehaven.
Yeah.
I really did. So Tidehaven, They lost Joseph Dodds, which
was their offense.
He's now at Baylor, and from seeing a running back like that at 3 level is just impressive enough. And I thought that losing that dude, you're going to take a step back. And Tidehaven had, was it them that had like a really crazy win or something at the end of it was against East Bernard. Did you just say that? Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I was my mind was elsewhere. I was thinking about Joseph Dodds. Sorry. Yes. But yeah, I kind of counted them out.
Yeah.
Lost to Goliad, lost to Ganado, and I did not think that they would even. I don't even remember who I picked out of Region 4. I think I picked Poth, maybe East Bernard. Sounds familiar, something like that. But I completely counted them out. Now, what Woodville has done has been extremely impressive. That win over Dangerfield last week. Now,
it was a statement.
Dangerfield's been up and down a little bit, but that was a statement win. Tavion Hunter, 5 first half touchdowns in their win over Dangerfield. Dude is rolling. And this is a Woodville team that is absolutely hot right now. So you can't count them out of this game.
Yep. Their sophomore, for me, it's been their sophomore quarterback, Luke Babin.
Luke Babin's been really good too. Yeah.
Incredible.
Yes.
I mean, truly, truly incredible. So I'm very, very fascinated by this game. I think that you don't lose either way. This one to me felt like one of the largest kind of toss-ups that I most of the time you're going through and you're filling out these and you're like, okay, I feel good about this one, this one, this one. This one was one that it was like, man, I could see this going either way.
Yes.
Genuinely could.
Correct.
I think that another one that maybe you could pencil in as Tidehaven has been here before. They know how to play in a big game, and they're going up against a sophomore quarterback that's going to have to put the cape on in a team that's not supposed to be here. But if Woodville takes in the mantra of crazy man in the fight, there's no telling how this one could end up.
Could play out, yeah.
Very, very, very fascinated by an unusual, if you will, 3A Division 2, because you've got Gunner and you've got Tidehaven, which feels right. You could have told me that at the beginning of the year and I would have said
Gunner Wall.
Okay, yeah. Well, no, I'm saying you have both of those teams. That feels right. If you would have told me that Wall and Woodville would have been here, it would have been like,
okay. You would have thought,
how did that play out?
Yeah. Right. Exactly. No, I agree.
There you go, 3A Division 2. Moving on to 3A Division 1, you have the matchup of Paradise and Malakoff, 7 p.m. Thursday at the Star. And then on the bottom half of the bracket, this one feels pretty chalky here. Columbus taking on Edna, 7 p.m. Thursday at Rice Stadium down in Houston. So I went with Malakoff and Columbus.
Same.
Which let me go ahead and preface that if that ends up happening,
this is going to be...
That might be the state championship game that I am most excired for.
Yes.
Superstars all over the field at the 3A level.
That's where I was getting at. If you're a recruiting guru and you're thinking, oh, it's 3A football, you're not interested, be interested in that matchup if it happens at AT&T Stadium and get there.
Yes.
Because it is filled with prospects all over the field. Let's start off with Malakoff and Paradise. Malakoff, of course, doesn't need an introduction. They've got the state's longest winning streak at 30 games, I think.
31, I think.
31 games, around that area. State's longest winning streak. What they did last week against Liberty Ilo was
put them in
shocking.
A body bag.
And it was 35-0. They shut them out.
And that is if you're unfamiliar with the work of Liberty Ilo, they can score.
Yes.
Okay, that's not a team that has gotten shut out all year.
They've been in the rankings. They were state ranked for a couple of weeks this year. That is not an easy game. That should not have been a 35-0 game.
No, and I feel like last year, because this Malakoff team has a lot of the same pieces that we saw win the state championship last year, their defense has even taken their step, the step forward this year. We know that Mike Jones is incredible when it comes to getting the ball around. Their offense has never been part of the question.
Parco Poteet, they are loaded with guys that can fly around the ball and have got that team speed.
Yeah, the defense is what pushes this over the edge for me. I think that they'll be able to get their own in with Paradise. But I mean, Paradise can hurt you in a lot of different ways. I think this is one that I don't see, if Malakoff was to shut out Paradise, that's when I would be like, oh my God, this defense is someone that we really need to start talking about. But I think Paradise will have their own. I think Malakoff is just a little bit too versatile in a multitude of ways.
Right. Well, and you can say like Paradise. Paradise, not supposed to be here, really. This is their first trip to the state semifinals in program history. They're on a hot streak right now. But like you said, I think that this Malakoff offense and defense is just going to be too much. I don't think they've faced a team like this year. And Malakoff they're hungry for another one. Yep. I really think they are.
Another clash in styles on the right side of the bracket. Columbus is a team that I feel like we all expected to be here. Edna is a team that I think we all expected to be here. This one is probably one of the most chalky results, but one that the styles make this incredibly interesting.
Completely clash of styles here.
100%. Columbus wants to get you in the air, and they want it to be a high-scoring track meet full of superstar talent on the outside.
They've got playmakers everywhere, and they're freaking fast. Edna
wants to sock you
the
in
ball
mouth. Okay. The most incredible part, there's a lot of different points that you could point at different parts of the field and go, this is an enticing matchup. This is an enticing matchup. The one for me is the Columbus offensive line against the massive defensive line of Edna.
They are physical.
They
up front.
are insane up front. They are so big on the lines. And I think that this might be one of the most physical games that Columbus is going to play all year. And I know that sounds crazy, but you think about teams like Hitchcock also want to get you up in the air.
I was going to say they're very much like Columbus in that way. So it didn't matter about playing defense because at that point you're going score for score.
Yeah. Franklin, another team that's pretty big. They are a masterclass at the slot T, and I'm sorry, that is a lot more almost analytical and calculated in the way that you're playing a defense that way than just hard-hitting physicality. And I think that Adam Schobel I think that Columbus is your favorite here.
Yeah.
But I think that Adam Schobel is going to have a lot more pressure put on him than he might be used to.
And that's how you catch Columbus off guard, is if you put Adam Schobel under pressure, that's how you're going to get this Columbus team. Now, and Edna, on the other side of the ball in the offense, you're going to give it to Braylon Harris.
Yep.
He's been absolutely outstanding for them this year. Through 14 games, he's thrown for 4 touchdowns. He's caught over 1,200 yards, 16 touchdowns, about 400 rushing yards, 8 touchdowns, and throw on 10 interceptions just for fun. He's a ball hawk.
Yeah.
If you shut him down, I think you're going to know that result pretty easily.
Yeah. I think Columbus has too many weapons, but that is a very enticing game from a clash in styles. So
I do know this too. Grayson Rigdon he was healthy at least last week. Yeah. So
just keeps
Adam Schobel and Grayson Rigdon there. It's going to be a Columbus show, I think.
Malakoff and Columbus would be so fun.
Would be a lot of fun.
So fun.
Yeah. Mike Jones and Adam Schobel.
Yeah.
I like it.
Superstars at the 3A level just like injected into my veins.
Yeah, absolutely balling out on the biggest
twist
stage
my arm.
in Jerry World. That seems about right. Also, I really like the Schobels too because I got to interview them and stuff.
Good people.
They're great people. Still need to eat at Schobels.
Yes.
I've not had the opportunity to do that, but I really want to do that.
Yeah,
someday.
There we go.
That's
if Columbus, there's our promise to Matt Schobel and the rest of the Schobels that if Columbus wins state championship, we will make our way down to Columbus to eat at Schobels. Maybe we could do a WTF live from the Schobels. That would be fun.
Coach Schobel, if you're listening to this, call us.
That would be amazing.
That would be amazing. All right, moving on up to 4A Division 2. And I'm telling you, I promise we did not pick all of the same picks. Just bear with us for at least one more here and maybe a couple more. So 4A Division 2, you have Brock out of Region 1 taking on the Region 2 champs in Carthage. That one's 7 p.m. Friday at McKinney ISD Stadium. And then on the right side of the bracket, Waco La Vega, Coach Don Hyde, making his way in there at 11-3, taking on Coach Doug Warren and the Wimberley Texans. That seems right. 7 p.m. at Georgetown ISD Stadium. we both took Carthage and Wimberley. Very intrigued by both of these matchups, though.
I don't think that we really expected Brock to be here.
Their first time in 4A Division 2. So this is impressive. They just moved up this classification.
Yes. So it's very impressive that they're already playing in a state semifinal show. And in typical Brock fashion, what was I going to say? I don't remember what I was going to say. But Brock had an outstanding win against Graham last week. It
was out of this world.
But what made it so impressive to me was that they got shut out by them in the last regular season game this year. 38-0. So I think everybody counted Brock out at that point. Most people counted Brock out at that point because of how dominant this Graham team has looked all season long. I picked them out of Region 1. I know that for a fact.
Yep.
So the fact that Brock is standing here after a really tough and physical game against Graham
in 3 overtimes. It took 3 overtimes for Brock to go out and win it 12-10.
Yeah.
Okay. 12-10 after previously 6 weeks earlier getting shut out 38-0. And let me preface that also by saying they weren't injured. There wasn't like a glaringly obvious reason. They just straight up got shut out.
Yeah.
And then they found a way. They relied on their defense. And then, of course, it's senior quarterback who, well, he's an athlete at this point. He's insane on the defensive side of the ball. But Brody Woods has been the straw that has stirred the drink for Brock. Very interested to see him go up against what is a grueling defense for Scott Surratt and his Carthage Bulldogs.
Yes. Now, I love this Brock defense. This is a typical Brock team, of course. They play a lot of defense. They don't put up that many points because they don't typically have to, just because of how solid their defense is. They've only given up an average about 8.6 points per game. Hey, Carthage.
Dude, Carthage is like the machine is online.
This Carthage offense, man, is very scary. Also, if you like prospects,
oh yeah,
Carthage is loaded, riddled with them.
It's funny because when Carthage went out, and let's dial it way back here in August, Carthage went out in week 1 and they lost to Kilgore.
15-20 loss, not too bad. But you're also playing up a division.
You're playing up a division. Jet Surratt was injured in that game. I'm not saying that that's the reason Kilgore won. I'm just saying that plays a factor in it. Jet Surratt is a year older now. We saw them lose last year, obviously, to Gilmer in the regional semifinals, but he's a year older, and man, has this offense been operating under there. They have looked so incredibly good.
Their strength of schedule.
All phases of the game.
Yeah, their strength of schedule is one of the best, I would say, in the entire state. Wins over Chapel Hill, Liberty Ilo, Jasper, Pleasant Grove.
The Pleasant Grove
one was shocking. Pleasant Grove one was shocking with how great that defense has been with Lance Jackson there at the helm, Texas signee. I think this Carthage offense, I guess you can loop their defense in there too. This is a different kind of beast that Brock has seen all year with Jet Surratt, KJ Edwards, that makes him very two-dimensional on the offensive side of the ball. And then, of course, their defense. They're outscoring opponents 688-131. Their defense, you can talk about their offense all you want, but I think their defense is the most outstanding characteristic about this team.
Yeah,
and I think that's what's going to win out.
Which is crazy because usually when it's talking about Scott Surratt, we're talking about the unbelievable offensive mind that he is, and he doesn't even have to use it as much because this defense has been so good. Very interested to see that one go down. I think you give Carthage the nod. I agree that it's just a little bit too much for Brock.
I don't know if Brock's going to be able to score, though. That's the thing.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be... I think that Carthage might not score as much as they would probably are used to because this Brock defense is really good. I don't think they can turn around and score.
Yeah.
So I pick Carthage.
Agree.
Big C.
Gabe Brooks might be sitting in this seat. And then you get to the state championship, and Scott Surratt is 9-0 in state championships.
Yeah,
a very light work in AT&T Stadium. So I can tell you if Carthage makes it to AT&T
probably your
Stadium,
favorite.
I'm telling you right now who I'm picking.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who wins the other side of the bracket because Scott Surratt is 9-0 in Jerry World.
I'm not picking against him.
No.
He's a mastermind.
You'd be dumb.
Play calling mastermind with weapons everywhere.
That's a special kind of dumb to pick against Scott Surratt.
I know. And on the other side, we're both
Waco
going
La
with
Vega.
Wimberley.
Yep. Yeah. Both going with Wimberley. This is another one. Okay. So we talked about it with Adam Schobel of like, the time is now. If you're going to do it and you're going to try and win a state championship, the time is now. I feel that exact same way about Wimberley and Cody Stover.
I agree.
This kid has been the lifeblood of the Texans for so many years now. He like eclipsed 10,000 yards. Like he has looked incredible. So Wimberley has been a roller coaster of a season. This is a team that we've really kept our pulse on for a good part of this season. They come out, they look incredible. Then they get injury ridden. I mean, 3 or 4 of their linemen were out for a good chunk of the games. Cody Stover was he always wears the cape. He was actually forced to wear the cape. They take a couple of losses and it's like, man, what's happening? They are back to health and heating up at the right time. Cody Stover is he is a dude who rocks.
And here, okay, so I did not pick Wimberley to win Region 4, because Waco La Vega is Region 3. I did not. I picked Sinton. What Cody Stover did against Sinton last week,
insane.
421 yards and 5 touchdowns against a really, really good Sinton defense. After that, I was like, I'm picking Wimberley.
Yep.
Now, Waco La Vega's been really good this year. I don't know if people expected them to make it to the state semis. They took 3 losses pretty early to really, really good teams, Salino, West Orange, Stark, and Stephenville, but played them really, really well. So I'm not saying that people maybe did not expect them to get here. I'm just saying that I don't know if they were the favorite coming out of Region 3. But man, this matchup is going to be tasty.
Yeah,
and
it's Cody Stover versus Waco La Vega's defense. Their defense is the reason that Don Hyde's team is still playing right now.
Yeah.
And I think that that's your key matchup and one that I'm really excited to see.
Yeah, I think Waco La Vega's also got the dude. If you're talking about dudes with Wimberley, you can talk about Bryson Rolland with Waco La Vega.
Yep.
1,900 yards, 27 touchdowns, almost 400 receiving yards, 6 touchdowns. The dude is very versatile and just explosive.
Yeah.
Which team is going to be able to contain that dude?
Yeah.
Who's going to contain?
Stover's
Can they
incredible.
contain Cody Stover? And can they contain Bryson Rolland?
Yep.
And I think that's the team that wins out.
Yep. I would agree with that.